Travis Young. My name's Aquarius Gilmer.
Elise is good.
Texas, Isaiah Horatio Valenzuela.
Akia.
Hi, my name is Richard Brookshire.
I identify as a same-gender loving black male.
I identify as gay.
I'm black, gay man. Black gay male.
I identify as a queer man of color. I'm also identify as gay.
I identify as Texas, but if we're gonna break it down, I am a two-spirited black queer trans man.
As a black woman, and then if we take it a step further, as a black queer woman.
I'm telling you, girl.
Pride means that I stand in my own truth unapologetically. I'm bold in who I am, and I live my life by my own terms. That's what pride means to me.
Pride is a celebration of being you.
For me to be able to walk in my full authenticity.
To me, it's about resilience, it's about celebration, and more so even now, it's about safety as well.
Pride, what it used to mean to me was, getting wasted and going out in the street and acting the fool.
Having a strong sense of self. Because when you navigate this world without having a sense of self, then you're liable to be susceptible to anything, your environment. So I think pride is just having a strong sense of self and moving in that understanding of who you are.
Me and my friend, we flew from DC because we wanted to be baller and got a flight from DC to New York City. And our drink of choice that weekend was Hypnotic and Hennessy all weekend, which to me was a turn up.
This is a really interesting question for me because I remember my first Pride being with my mother back when I was 5 years old.
I went with a bunch of my friends, decked out in rainbow colors and, just all of that.
My first Pride experience was in Atlanta, Georgia.
But I remember feeling at odds with myself. It was such a beautiful experience, but at the same time, now that I look back, I was just oh, there's a lot more work that I needed to do in order to really be a part of this, or more so to really understand what it was around the time.
I went to this let out at this club that everyone had told notorious stories about. There was a dark room, so you couldn't go inside because you'd get felt up. So I stayed in the parking lot, and I was boy crazy at the time, and I had this person that I was dating, and it was just a miserable experience because he wasn't paying any attention to me, and I'm in this parking lot, and all these things are happening around me, and I'm young and impressionable, and I ended the night crying because he wasn't paying attention to me. So that was my first Pride experience, getting my heart broken at a Pride event.
By coincidence, I was 19, living in DC, going to school, and I was working at Urban Outfitters. And I was on break, and my coworkers and I were all outside. We were smoking cigarettes, watching the parade go by, and I got a flag. I'm waving my flag. And not only was I working at Urban and going to school, I was also teaching. And I ran into one of my students during Pride, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I did not want my student to know that I was out here celebrating Pride. And 2 seconds later, we were hugging and embracing one another, and it was awesome. So my first Pride was by mistake, but probably my most memorable for sure. Okay, specifically, are we speaking? I know we're talking about gay pride, but is that the reference point? Okay.
No.
I would say yes.
But it's centered around white folks and white privilege, unfortunately. It has since day one when you really look at, the erasure of trans women and trans folks who were at the forefront of gay liberation back in the 70s and 80s, and you still see that now, So it is centered around their stories through mainstream.
I think pride is for everybody. It's not a white construct, but gay pride in the way that it's been kind of constructed in the United States Specifically, it's been kind of constructed for white people. It's kind of been an inclusive thing. And a lot of times within the white gay community, they don't account for the unique experiences that gay people or queer people of color bring to the table.
Gay pride is for white people. I think the face of gay pride is definitely white, but you can holler at me during Black Gay Pride weekend.
Yes, because simply put, like, that's why there is a Black Pride. If Pride was all-inclusive, then I don't think it would be necessary to have separate events based on race.
I think that our white, gay, lesbian, transgender brothers and sisters have sort of capitalized on this moment to be fully actualize themselves. I think they take more advantage of it.
I mean, we have gay pride and we have Black pride. I mean, I grew up in Maryland, right outside of DC, so I was very familiar with Memorial Day weekend. That was Black pride. I don't even remember going to gay pride in DC. It didn't feel like it was for me, mostly. I just remember that, you know, all of my friends, my mother, who's not Black, but who might as well be, but I remember always going and celebrating at Black pride.
How and where do I celebrate Pride?
Every day.
Every day.
I probably would celebrate it with close friends in a very intimate setting. Just spending time with people that I really love. I think how I celebrate it usually is at a boozy brunch. A cocktail will be at hand, but definitely smaller scale now. So, excuse me, we're recording.
I mean everywhere. Like, I don't feel like that is designated for, like, you know, a particular day or a particular month.
White privilege at its best.
Well, I celebrate Pride every day by living in my own truth and by being me and by walking the path that I feel I'm destined to walk.
I celebrate Pride with my friends. You know, we don't have to go out and to the club anymore. I mean, we're getting older now. We can, and that's fun, but I think just being around the people that you feel most comfortable with, who you can be your complete self with, like, that's celebration enough. To just go up, be around people that not necessarily are like you, because there's so much otherness in the community, but like people that you can look at and just like give a head nod, like you already know. Like, we're all celebrating the same thing. There's no hatred. And I think primarily that's what I do. I spend my time around the people that I love the most. They don't necessarily have to understand me, because we're all so different, but we understand that this is our space together.